I have an example sitting over here off to the side. Say I wanted to use some numbers, and what did I do with it? Well, I had one and I've lost it. I don't know what I did with it. But if you wanted to, oh, there they are. These are cut from a Tim Holtz die cut. And let's just say I'm not really good at this type of lettering. Then all I have to do is make myself a template or a stencil and get the rough drawing here. Look at this. Look at how cool this is. Now I have XYZ, and by the time I color it in or do some fun, like just sideways slanty kind of, look at how fun that has become. And I didn't freehand this, I traced it. So do you have a little more confidence now that you think you can do it? So we can start in on what kind of chalk we want to do. And then come back in and just kind of give some shading to these areas. Look at how fun this is. And you know, honestly, even if it's sloppy, it doesn't matter. It's chalk. Okay? Now look at how simple that was. And all I did was trace. This is a Tim Holtz. This is a Tim Holtz alphabet set that I just cut out of some scrap chipboard. And all of a sudden, I have this really cute little alpha set here. And I didn't freehand this. I just traced it. Okay? So now let's talk about chalks. Okay? See how cool that is? Do you know how many stencils are out there? I mean, honestly, you know, you can have so much fun with this. It's just thinking outside the box for just a little bit. Now, another option is you can print this out on your computer. And then I've noticed that if you go into the quilting section of your stores, they have these tracing papers, and they're made for quilters. And they have some, you know, like what it is it's tracing paper on one side, but it's chalk on the other side. And I'll show you when we pull out our chalkboard. But what we do is you can take this paper and, you know, like say you wanted to trace your printout, you just put this chalky surface down on your chalkboard, and then you lay your printed piece on top, and you just trace over your printed piece, and it transfers it to the chalkboard. Okay, so look in your quilting sections for little cheats like this. This is very inexpensive. I think I paid $1 for it. I got it in the Notion section at Walmart. Okay, so these are all some good tips for you. Another option too is I have found that a lot of times the reason you can't do it is you're not using the right tools. Okay? Oh, I'm looking at the chat. Okay, so let's go ahead and start talking about some of these chalk tools. We're going to put the ink aside, and I'm going to pull out my chalkboard. Now, I have already prepped a chalkboard piece. This has been sitting for a week or two over on my side over here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull it, before I pull it out of the frame actually, just before I do that, I'm going to pull out, this is a water-soluble dressmaker's pencil, which is chalk, by the way. And look at how thin it is. And this is chalk. This is a chalk pencil. And you can find these in the Notion section where the quilting supplies are and the needles and things like that. This is just a chalk pencil. So that's the secret, really, to get these really fine lines. I'm going to very lightly trace the border of my frame, and what this is going to do is when I do my art, it's going to keep me from going into the area that is going to be blocked by the frame. Peggy, you came in late. I'm just going to refresh and remind everybody. The frame came from a dollar store, and it was like $3 or $4. It wasn't very much. It was under $5, and this size is like 11 by 14. It says the frame size on the piece that I threw away said it was 8.5 by 11, but the inside had a mat that brought it down to 5 by 7. So you can see where I have painted my chalk on it. Try and get it out. Oh, I didn't pop up that piece. It helps to pop all those little pegs up. You know, I have a hard time with this. I'm afraid I'm going to pop one of my nails. Okay, so now you can see where I traced that border. It'll refresh in a minute. I don't know if you guys can see it or not, but there's a slight border, so I know not to enter that area, and it's about 1/4 of an inch all the way around the frame. I'll keep this here so that this will stay focused. Okay, so now I need to decide on here what I want to do. And before you can begin doing anything with your chalkboard, what you need to do is just take a piece of chalk and you're going to season your board. And when I say season the board, I mean you're going to rub this chalk all over it. And you're going to, really get it good and chalky. And I may have to put it back in and put my frame back in there. You can really see the texture left by the brush strokes when you do this. But this is going to help to season this board up so we can use it. I'm just going to take a paper towel. You do not want it to be wet. Do not use a baby wipe for this. You want to use a paper towel because you do want that chalk to stay on there, okay? And in a circular motion, I'm just going to work that into the fibers of my board. And voila, your chalkboard has now been seasoned. Okay? And you can flip that over and wipe it off even more. And I think I do need to come back and add my little frame border back in there. I can barely see it, so I'm going to just go ahead and just put it on here with this. Now it does help to have a grid, so I'm using my grid board here. I'm going to line my frame up so it lines up with that grid all the way up, and then I'm going to use my T-square as a guide so I make sure it's all straight, and I'm going to put that line that I just created back in there so I don't go into that area whenever I am creating my board. I want to make sure I'm leaving enough clearance. And to be honest with you, I'd probably come in a 1/2 inch because that would give you a good 1/4 inch border. Actually, let me do that. I'm going to come in a 1/2 inch because then that will give me a good 1/4 inch border of where, like a margin, so to speak. Okay. Now, for those of you who are challenged, that's 2 squares on this grid. Those of you who are challenged with the math of 1/4 of an inch, and I mean that in a loving way because I truthfully have issues with measuring sometimes too. No one likes to measure, right? I can't really see if I've got this straight or not, so I'm going to wing it. Okay, so now I know not to go within those lines whenever I am designing my board. Okay, I have a good place to start. Does anybody have any questions so far? Okay, now this guy right here is going to be your friend because we've practiced on that little paper, and when we did that, we sort of, where did my paper go? I'm going to pull it back out. Did I bury it? There, I buried it. On this paper, this was my first doodle that I did. I kind of got a rough idea of what I wanted to do. So I've kind of sketched it out a little bit in my mind. I know where I want to go with it. I know what I want to emphasize and what I want small and what I want big and what needs to be ginormous. So I'm going to start out with some of these elements first. So, and I'll be honest with you, I might draw this 4 times tonight before I get it right. And I might do it 1 time and it might be perfect. So what I want to do is I'm going to decide what element is going to go towards the center of my frame, and I'm going to begin there. And here's a little trade secret that no one ever tells you. You're going to need, I like to pull out these little sponges because they make great erasers. Because they're beveled, they get into some really good tight spots. So that's one tool you might need. Another tool you might need is a really good pencil sharpener. I have one here that has the large size as well as the small size, because I can take my big pieces of chalk and I can put them in here and I can sharpen them like a pencil. And look at that, I'm starting to get a point. Look at that. Razor thin point. Right? Okay, so that's one trick of the trade. So I'm going to keep that guy handy. And I like these that close up like this because then I don't end up with chalk dust everywhere. Okay, so all of these little pieces that break off, no worries. We're going to use them. Another piece that I like to have on hand is the flat side that I used to do this, because it's also fantastic for making these super fat letters. You're going to draw on the side of the chalk. See how cool that is? And all I did was use the flat side of the chalk. Okay, what did you miss, Peggy? Did you see this? Where I took the standard size of the chalk and I just put it in here and worked it down till I got this pencil sharp. Did you see that part? Okay. So this guy's your friend, and the cool thing is if you just leave him in your box, when you're done at the end of the night, you can just rinse him out, let him dry out, and put him right back in your box, and he's good to go again until he's frayed out everywhere. Another fun thing to have in your arsenal is going to be, these are super fun, and I don't care that they're really big because I think that we can still utilize them. They come in a lot of colors. I paid 99 cents for these. In the kids section, they're in the party section. Party favor section, and they come in a ton of colors, so I bought those. We might play with those tonight. All of this stuff came right here, came from Walmart. Then this is from Faber-Castell, and this is just a bristle brush, and I like to use it to get into some of those tight places to clean up my chalkboard, so that's a good thing to have. These are also from Faber-Castell, and these have those little sponge applicator bottoms on them. These are really great for cleaning up and erasing as well. See how great that is? Gets that board nice and clean. Okay. So that's an option. Also like to have some white erasers, because if nothing else, you can really get it in clean. See, like I can draw my line with that. And I didn't make a mark on here, and then whenever I get ready to cover that back up, all I do is just rub my finger and it's gone. Okay, so erasers are good. If you want this to be a little more permanent, we're talking about chalk and chalkboards today, but if you want this to be a little bit more permanent, you could definitely draw them out with some pastel pencils. I've used the Pitt pastel pencils, and they are perfect. And I love the colors. They show up vibrant on here. The thing I really like about these Pitt pencils is, even though I'm drawing right here on this board, which you can barely see that, I can take my finger just like you do with the chalk, and you can pull it off. okay? And it's gone. Okay, so let's get started. Another thing I want to show you guys is that on some letters, you want to have an open face. So I'm going to find my center point, and my center word was giving or give. So I really want it to have a nice like double line. So instead of drawing that double line twice, or the line twice, which I could do, I have taken my scissors, and on the back end of my chalk, I have kind of sawed in a little bit until I have a ridge there in the center of my chalk. So now when I come in and draw the word give, make sure it's going the right way. Wait, I don't have my chalk turned the right way. You want to make sure it's turned the right way so that the hole is up and down. And I draw the word give. Notice how I'm using my ruler to start and stop. Now I have a double line here, which you can hardly see. But when I come back with this piece, I've now got a guide. And I really did no work. I let the chalk do the work for me. So that's a little trick for you guys. Look at that. Okay, so that's one way to get that fancy lettering without having to do a whole lot of fancy drawing. Isn't that cool? So my word give has already been set up. Now it's time to think about my word art. I have blessings that I don't want to run out of room down here for. So, and notice that I'm not touching my board, I'm blowing on it, and that's getting all that chalk off of there. So the next thing I want to do is think about my word blessings. Now, in my original drawing, I drew this little dress form, but I don't think I'm going to do it on this because I have another idea for my board. But I think what I want to do is I'm going to divide my board up into, and notice that whenever I put my T-square down, I'm flushing it up against my glass, because I'm going to use it to slide up and down like this as I do my word. Now I want to make some key spots, and one is going to be where my letter's going to start and stop. So I want the S to go all the way to the end down here. So I want to probably go about right there with it. And then maybe my G is going to land somewhere in here, the top of my N, and then the other top of my N, and I'm trying to space it out on my ruler about the same width apart. And then there's going to be my I, my other S, my other S, my other E, and then the L and the B I'm going to kind of come out a little bit further. So let's talk about the B and the L. Now all I have to do is I have placeholders already made for the tops of my words blessings. So all I have to do now is get the B and the L right. So I'm just going to kind of freehand a straight line, which you could use your T-square. So I have my straight line right here, and I think I want to have some flourishy, fun little loop-de-loop there, right? And a little loop-de-loop there. Now see, most people will say, I can't do all of those flourishes. Well, you can do those flourishes if you break them up into smaller pieces. So now I want my B to kind of come out like this, and then this piece to come out here. I'm not worrying about all those flourishes and loop-de-loops until I get the base of my letter formed. Okay, and I'm using this piece that I ran through my pencil sharpener. And now I'm going to go with my L and then my E. And now I'm going to realize that my spacing is probably not going to be right for that. So what I want to do instead is I'm going to place my board here, or my thing here. I've got my E set up, so I'm going to come up here. Blessings is going to be S. So I'm going to come up to here, and I'm going to just kind of put a little tick right there, so I know about how far to go up. Now, Blessings has what we call a descender, and that is the G letter that comes down into the base. Now, I already know that I don't want to go past that line that's there, because if I do, I am going to, it's going to get lost in the frame. So I want to be really careful. So I may have to move this up, and I may not have to, depending on how I do this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring that G out and let it just kind of curl around down here at the bottom. Now my S finishes off, but it's a little off center because I have a line here and I have the line here. So never fear, what we'll do is we'll pull out and do like this and finish off with a swirl. Now it looks like it belongs. And then where my eye is, maybe I want to put like something decorative up here at the top. And this might be where these colored chalk pencils come in, or chalks come in, because now I can come in and add just a little bit of a color there. And I don't know if I want to do this now, or I might do it at the end, because I don't want to get the white all over everything. I mean, I don't want to get the pink all over everything yet. But now I have my letters formed, and I can come back and decide, well, do I want to add some thickness to maybe some of these letters by just doing this and doodling them in. And if I do that, then, you know, just add them in with the chalk. If I add it to the left on that one, I need to add it to the left on this one. Then maybe come in and make this little E a little thicker, make the curve of my S a little thicker, the curve of that S a little thicker, maybe do a loop-de-loop on the I, make the right side of that end loop and that end loop, and then that end, and then if I do it there, I need to do it down here as well, and then come back in here. And then when I blow all the dust away, look at how perfect that is. We've done very little here. Okay, just cleaning that up a little bit. Okay, so is everybody clear on how to do that? I don't make it look so easy. You know what? Let me tell you something, Amory. You can do this. I swear you can. The trick is to doodle it first. It really is. And using the straight edges to form your letters, just like you did with the straight edge that was in the book. You know, notice all of my lettering has the same height and the same bottom, because I'm being very careful with how far up I go. And don't be afraid to make guides. And you know what? That's why I have a chalkboard like this, so that I can practice. Do you know how many times I erased that yesterday? Excuse me, I erased that yesterday before I found out, you know, what I wanted to do with it. So now let's make room for the word thanks, because that's our next biggest thing. And for that one, I want to pull in this cute little banner, and I think I want to use this swirly one that's here. And so what I'm going to do is, it's no fun if we keep it all one level, right? So I think what I want to do is, actually, I think I've changed my mind. I might want to make it a little bigger than what that is, but we'll try. I think I want to do, I think I want to do this one instead, just because it's a little bigger. So, how do I want to do this? Do I want to, we're going to get it straight. You want to use the grid, line it up with the grid, keep it straight. And let's just go ahead and draw it on there. Now, I want to give you another little tip, and I haven't really tried it yet for myself, but we'll see how it works out, and then if it doesn't work out, then we know together that it's not going to work out. Okay, so I've got the base of my little banner there. See how pretty this already looks, and we haven't even done anything. So I want to start really thinking about the curvatures and the shadows that are going to happen on this banner. So I know that if the banner is inwards here, that there's going to be a slight shadow on it here. So I'm just going to go ahead and put that right on there. See how that's just changed the whole look of that? Oh, I'm glad this is making it easier for you. I'm so happy. I want to see chalkboards popping up all over the place that you guys have created. Now, another tip that I have for you is I'm not letting my hand touch this board, because when you swipe your hand across it, you're going to make a giant mess of it, okay? So now I want to get the word thanks in here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at it written down, because remember we practiced on another sheet of paper, and THANKS is 6 letters. So my center point of my banner is going to be between the A and the N. So let's establish that area first. So I'm looking at approximately 4 3/4 inches. So halfway of, and that's measuring from this distance to this distance. So the halfway point for that is going to be approximately, what is that, 2 1/4. It's going to be approximately, if it's, yes, let's go 2 1/4. And I'm going to put just a little tiny dot right there. So that's going to let me know that that is the center point of that banner. And I don't even know if you guys can see that dot. See if I can pull it up where you can see it. I've placed a little tiny dot there, so I know that that is where between the A and the N. Okay? So now let's talk about what kind of lettering style we want to do. On chalkboards, to make them look super fun, you really need to have more than one font style. Obviously, we've got a cursive here, we've got an open face here, so maybe we want to do some block lettering in here. So let's go back to our reference guide, which is in here. I'm not sure where that broke off, but let me know. I'll wait for you guys. Did you guys lose me? So I have my center point here of my banner. Okay, did you guys miss anything? You saw me make the center point of my banner. This is 2 3/4, it's roughly 4 3/4 wide. So I did a dot at 2 1/4. Did you guys see that? Okay, so then my A and my N need to go between that. So I'm going to draw my A first, and I think I want to do a really, like, what we call a double stack A. Okay? And then I'm not worrying about shading and all of the fancy stuff. I'm just trying to get my letters formed. And then I have my N. And I'm going to do my K. And since I went with the double stack A, I think I'm going to go with the double stack K. So it looks like that. And then I'm going to take and put my S in there. And it's okay if some of the letters are bigger than the other letters. Then the next thing I want to do is my H. And now my T. And I don't like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to erase it because I did not get it even though I tried. Some of my letters are bigger than others. I'm going to take this. This is where the little Faber-Castell thing comes in handy. And I'm just going to swipe it away, leaving my little dot there as a reference. And this is truly how it goes down. I mean, this is exactly what happens. Then I'm going to come back with this little guy and pick up all of that extra dust that's in there so it's nice and neat. And look at that. You thought you couldn't do it, but you just didn't have the right tools. Okay, so look at that. Good as gold. It's all the way back to being original again. Okay, so then let's go back and add it again. And this time, let's see. I think I'm going to go, there's my A. Maybe do an uppercase. Maybe I'm going to make everything uppercase. A, N, K, S. And I can make these letters bolder later. H, and uppercase T. Okay, and I like that, but now that I have my A in here, I think what I want to do is just move it over just a little bit. And there's my word thanks. Everybody with me so far? Any problems? Okay, so I want to make sure I don't cover this up. I don't do anything on it. I do have, don't put your hand down. Whatever you do, don't put your hand down. So now I want to make this just a little thicker. So I'm just going to thicken these lines up. I really want a lot of emphasis on the word thanks. Okay. And I really think that it helps so much to sharpen up your chalk with the pencil sharpener. When I did that the first time, wow, the difference it made in my drawing. Okay, are we happy with the word thanks there? See how thick it is? Now it's time to finish up our small words. So we have the word for and her that we have to get on here. So I think I found this like lollipop font that I thought was fun. And all it is really tall letters like this, but super thin. Okay, and then what I did was on the tips of those letters, we're going to put little tiny, like think of it as a half semicircle, just on those little dewdroppy things. On the O, and then the F, and then here. And that just makes them a little cuter. And it looks like my O doesn't quite go down far enough, because I quit using my ruler, which was a no-no. So I'm going to just erase the bottom and pull it down so it's even. Okay? Now I need to get the word her in here. And because I'm going to run out of space, I want to do my R first. So I'm going to start backwards. I'm going to do the loop of the R coming down. And then I'm going to draw the back side of it. And I'm going to draw a little line like this. And I'm going to leave these two really thin. But maybe put a foot on this and a foot on this so that they're even. Okay? And then just draw lines inside here. That's going to give that a completely different look. Now I need to do my E. So I'm going to come in and again, pulling out my ruler so I'll keep everything straight. Line the ruler up with the edge. I'm going to come in here so I make sure I don't get too fat because I don't want to run into the other letter space there. Oops. Pull it down just a little bit. And then I'm going to come up here with this E. And I'm going to straighten it across and put that in there. 1, 2, 3. And then my H, which I may have to remove this little guy here. It may not work. And I realize I've just gone a little too far, so we're going to erase it and start over. My R is just a little too fat, so it needs to go on a little diet, and that's okay. Notice I do not rub my hands across that to get it to clear out. I'm blowing on it. Don't rub your hands on it. Resist, because your hands have oils, and you don't want the oils to get into your chalkboard. Yes, that is a good point, Julie. Thank you. The ruler could act as your resting point for your wrist. You're right. Okay, I'm going to sharpen up my little point a little more, because I think I've kind of exhausted it a little bit. Okay, now let's try again. This time, let's go back with my R, but we're going to make him a little skinnier. And this time, let's put my H down. So I know right where it needs to go.